Okay, so with all that success, Division One, Division Two talk came up, and this is something that personally has to be a great thing for you to have. It's really an ultimate compliment when people are talking about, okay, Grand Valley, they've had so much success, they need to go D1. You know, you've heard this from a variety of people, students, fans, media, everybody. But I think personally for myself, as time has went on here, I think I've been on the fence before, but I said before that I feel like Grand Valley is in its best spot right here at D2. Summarize a couple reasons why you feel that GVSU should stay in D2 and foreseeable future. Could you see anything changing in that?
Well, the biggest reason is I think what a school has to ask out of their athletics program, because you're going to spend money on athletics, how much bang are you getting for your buck is a way to look at it. And I think we get great bang for our buck here at Grand Valley. And comparing it, I came from the University of Toledo, the Mid-American Conference, which is central, western, eastern Michigan. Their annual athletic budgets are about 2.5 times the size of ours. And we're between 7 and 8 million a year. And they're roughly getting close to 20 million a year in their athletic budgets now. And those are all ballpark figures, but you know that's 2 to 2.5 times they're spending on athletics than we are. And they're not generating that on their own. Michigan is, but those schools aren't. I was in that league for a long time. Great league. I love the schools, but they don't generate that revenue on their own. Students pay for it. Just like at Grand Valley, for the most part, students pay for athletics. We generate roughly $1 million on our own here through ticket sales and marketing and sponsorships and so on. And that percentage is about 15%. That's about what it is at the MAC schools. So the question is, who's getting more bang for your buck? And we're in national play all the time. Our student athletes are getting that experience. They're getting the experience of going on to postseason play. And I've said this a long time. You know, again, I came from that level, so I know it very well. And I'm convinced that college athletics, no matter what level you are at, Division I, II, or III, for the student athletes, it's a grind at times. Not at times, it's a long season. It's hard, you practice hard, you work a lot of time in, and it's hard. Tough competition, and that's a long season. The reward of that grind is postseason play. That's when it gets fun for college athletes, is you get a chance to go and compete against your regional and national opponents. So I think by far the best bang for your buck for Grand Valley is to stay right where we are and continue to experience success. Don Lubbers used to say, why should we spend more money to lose more? And there's another good way to look at it. And it's very true. And I think tongue-in-cheek, I would tell people at times, if we're going to go Division I, then let's spend another $50-60 million a year and go be the 12th school in the Big Ten. Now, I say that tongue-in-cheek, but I also say it with some seriousness. If you're going to get bang for your buck, then spend a whole lot of money and go to that level. That's not feasible. I mean, for us to go to Division I at any level, we will have to do at least $50 million in improvements to our facilities. In fact, we probably need to do close to 20 to 30 million in the future here of facilities improvements to remain at the top of Division II. So it's highly expensive. And you know, you want to build a library for 70 million, or do you want to build a new stadium for 50, 60 million? Those are the decisions you have to make if you want to go Division I. And I think that what has made Grand Valley special is that we've put our priority on academic buildings. And that's what's built this school and made us special. So I really think being Division II has played a big part in our school's success, and it's played a big part in the image that our school has of excellence. Our athletic programs are of excellence. We're winners. And you know, you can think of some of the schools within a 200-mile radius. They're not winners. That's the bottom line. And so I think it's better for our school that we're Division II. I'll give you one example. I mentioned earlier in our interview UC Davis. UC Davis was a great Division II program in Davis, California. We had a great competition with them. The last 2 years they were in Division II. They were first, we were second in the Directors' Cup. We had a 4-year series in football. They won 2, we won 2. All 4 games, close games, great games. And we loved it. We loved going out there. They loved coming here. It was a USC-Notre Dame rivalry at the Division II level. And then they, for whatever reason, decided to go Division I. Greed, egos, whatever the decision may be, they decided to go Division I. This past week they announced they're dropping 4 sports. Financially, they can't keep doing it, and they're dropping 4 sports, and that's sad. That's 4 sports of student athletes that are losing an opportunity to play college athletics at UC Davis, a great school. And I hate to see that. It was depressing for me. A once great program in Division II is now never heard of in Division I. Can't handle it financially and dropping programs because of it. And I feel for those students there, because those students have had to pay more money out of their pocket for them to go Division I. That's the bottom line. And we talk about students here once in a while ask me, when are we going Division I? And if you lay out the reality, well, here's how much more it's going to cost you each semester to do that, then, well, maybe we're fine right where we are. But that's the bottom line. And from a financial standpoint, from a student-athlete experience standpoint, there's no question we're better off right where we are in Division II.
A question, some of those schools that have won, there's been a number of, not so many recently, because NCAA came out with tougher and stricter guidelines to get to D1, but how come we don't see, for some of those schools, wouldn't it be, and we're not talking GVSU here, but for those schools, wouldn't it be right for UC Davis to go back to D2? You see any of those schools maybe going back, or is that too much?
I think we might see that happen. That's a hard thing for schools to do, especially those that have been Division I for most of their history. I could name some schools around the country. Absolutely. I mean, I think the answer is more schools should be like us than trying to be Division I. There's 300 plus, the Division I schools all trying to get in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Well, they get in once every 10 years. They get killed in the first round, and they're out. And what good does that do for your school? So I don't quite get it. You spend all that money for once every 10 years to get 1 week's publicity in the national limelight because you're in the big dance, and then you get beat by 20 or 30 points in the first round and you're done. That doesn't seem to me to be a good expenditure of money. But I do think we are seeing some schools starting to come back. Winston-Salem is a school in North Carolina that went from Division II to Division I. They're coming back to Division II. I know other schools have inquired about it. It's a tough thing because egos get involved and alums get upset. They don't want to see it happen. But you know what? There's a lot of alums at UC Davis that I bet are pretty upset right now that 4 programs got dropped from a once proud program.
Facilities-wise, obviously football stadium, you would like to do some stuff there. What's obviously had the Laker Turf building. Looking ahead the next 5 years, if it's possible the money's there, what would you like to upgrade here athletically?
Well, we have a master plan of our athletics and recreational facilities. One of the things we want to be able to do is expand on the outdoor fields we have on the south end of campus by Laker Village and the Children's Center, where our varsity soccer field is, and there's we call it the rugby field where intramurals and club sports play. We want to make that turf, and that we are going to get done. We're going to be able to make that artificial turf for next year. We would like to add 2 more large fields on top of that. We do have 1 large field west of our varsity soccer field. We want to raise that level up because they're very low level and they aren't playable a lot due to moisture. So we want to raise those up, turf them, and light the whole complex, including making another turf field for the lacrosse program and build our outdoor track at the south end of campus. So take our outdoor track out of the stadium and put it on its own at the south end of campus with an artificial turf field on the infield for the lacrosse program and intramurals and club sports. If you have an artificial turf, everybody can play on it, far more than we can play on it now. The natural grass just gets beat up, and unfortunately we can't play as much as we would love to on it. If you have artificial turf and you light it, you can just think of some of the college campuses, residential campuses that all have a facility like that, where students are playing intramurals till 10, midnight, whatever, and the place is lit and there's a lot of activity going on. We need that at Grand Valley. So that would be the top priority. And then once we get the track out of the stadium, we'd like to build more seating in the stadium. We need a visiting team locker room. A visiting team has to dress and shower in the field house and bus out there, and that's not a good situation for one of the top programs in Division II. We need more restrooms and concessions and so on. So we got a lot of big plans at the stadium. It needs renovation because we're averaging almost 11,000 people a game in an 8,500 seat stadium. That can't last much longer. It's not good. And then we need to look at our arena and our pool. Both our arena and pool here in the Fieldhouse complex as we know it are both almost 30 years old. They were 28 years old. Well, facilities get to be about 30 years old. They need help. And that arena is still good and functional, but it needs some sprucing up. Pool is the same way. We've outgrown the pool. You know, just as our Zumberg Library was a library built for a campus of 6,000 students, so was that pool. And now, with all the activity and aquatics programming we have, that pool doesn't serve us very well either. So those are big ticket items. They aren't going to be easy to solve. They're hard to solve today, and especially with the economic climate we're in.
Fast forward 30 or so years from the time that you played at University of Toledo. We mentioned this before. I wanted to throw it out there just because this is a tough question. With all the sports here, especially the top premier sports like football and soccer and men's basketball, you see a lot of players and Coach Wesley and Coach Mitchell now that have to compete with the MAC schools for those players. Would you play at a MAC school, or would you come to GVSU having done it now 30 years later?
Well, GVSU as it exists now, I would have probably considered GVSU. However, from my hometown, that's a 3-hour drive, and I went to school 45 minutes away. I think the factors for me that was a big factor for me. I didn't want to go far from home. I was the youngest of 3 boys, and it was. I didn't want to go far from home. So there are a lot of other factors in play. But consider GVSU, absolutely. And I know, having grown up in Northwest Ohio, there are a lot of student athletes down there now that consider GVSU. We have a lot of students that come up here now from Northwest Ohio, I think in large part because of our success and notoriety in athletics has caught their attention. Then the school sells itself. But I think their attention in Ohio, in Indiana, and Chicago area, in large part, our athletic success, I'd like to think, has played a part in at least getting those folks interested in Grand Valley.
How about some of the coaches that have just had the success? You obviously mentioned Brian Kelly and Chuck Martin. These guys now at Notre Dame now, and who knows what's going to happen as far as their careers. I mean, Brian Kelly could win a national championship, and it's always drawn back to, he once was started at GVSU. It's got to be a big reward that you were around these guys, and now you're seeing them have such great success and even potential to reach stardom.
Well, it's a thrill to watch them. I just have enjoyed the last 6 years following Brian at Central and Cincinnati and their success, and it's kind of neat to cheer for another school because you know somebody that's leading the program, and I'm just thrilled that Brian's done as well as he has. He deserves to be at a place like Notre Dame. He's got his work cut out for him. It's not going to be easy there. They're not very good right now, and they haven't been very good for 20 years. But the expectations are obviously high, and so they got their work cut out for them. But the one thing I've said about Brian, he knows how to win football games, and they'll figure out a way to get it done there.
February 12th, 1996. That's when you were hired on board here. Did you ever fathom, 15 years later, going on 15 now, that you would have had this much success? And looking back, this is quite the track record that Tim Selgo has put together here, and quite the resume that this is going to be something to look back on when you're 70 or 80 down in Florida at a beach. You're going to be really enjoying that. Did you ever fathom this happening?
I really thought we could compete nationally at Grand Valley. Coming in, I did not, because I'd spent my whole life in the Mid-American Conference. So I wasn't as familiar with Division II or the GLIAC. I knew of the GLIAC, of course, because close by, but I wasn't as familiar with Division II nationally. I wasn't sure what it would take. I wasn't quite sure coming in how good you had to be, and so I couldn't say that, no. But I did think coming up here, this school had the potential to really be good, and Grand Valley had good success. We had great tradition in football. We just hadn't gotten quite over the hump nationally. And once I felt we did that, I thought we certainly could do that. I had to be honest with you, at the time, if you think back to the mid-'90s, the University of Michigan was really good nationally across the board in all their sports. And I thought, well, Michigan can do this in Division I. Why can't Grand Valley do it in Division II? And certainly we've been fortunate enough to be able to accomplish that.
All right, Tim, that's going to do it for today. I want to say thank you to all the things that you've let me do here. A lot of sports coverage. It's been a great experience for me. and I wish you a best of luck in the future. And I know there's going to be some more possible titles coming.
Well, thanks, and wish you the best too. It's been fun.
All right, that's it. We say thank you to everyone out there who's watched the Lakers Spotlight on MLive.com and on GBTV. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great run, a lot of work, but overall a great experience. And covering GVSU athletics here in West Michigan. For the final time, I'm Justin Hoff on the Lakers Spotlight on MLive.com. So long, everyone.